Hello everyone, welcome to PhotoPlay's YouTube channel and welcome to Tuesdays with Tina. Today we are going to be creating with two of the latest release items from the Say It With Stamps collection. We're using the Santa's Helpers super cute stamp set. And there is a coordinating die set we'll be using to die cut out our images. And then for my sentiment, I'm bringing in the Say It With Stamps Christmas Word stamp set. And I love the font of the Christmas. Now this Christmas is pretty stamped, but there is a coordinating die set that we're going to be using also. There's a shadow die that goes with it. We're going to pair these two together and we're going to create a tri-fold Christmas card. I love creating scenes and I think this tri-fold is going to create a real fun Christmas card. And I think the recipient will love it. So we're going to jump in and first start by doing a little bit of stamping with our Santa's Helpers. I'm bringing in my stamping positioner and a piece of the Color Me Premium cardstock. This is a super smooth cardstock and it's great for alcohol marker coloring. That's what we're going to use to color in our images today. So just two of the images, one of the elves that's holding a little sign. It's really nice because there's little sentiments that will fit inside that sign. I think that's just adorable. And then there's also a elf standing up on some gifts. Right next to a Christmas tree. We're going to use that image as well. I'm going to ink up my images with an alcohol marker friendly ink. I had to remove my magnet because it was getting in the way of my stamping. The colors that I'm going to be using are here. And then I'm going to play a little bit of music while I color, and when I'm done coloring, I will catch you. Okay, coloring is all done. Now for the inside of my little sign here, we're going to bring in our sentiment. The sentiment that I chose is the one that says, "Have your elf a merry little Christmas." So cute. And it fits perfectly right inside of our sign here. Wonderful. Now while we're die cutting, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take our Christmas sentiment, and also we're going to take "Have a Wonderful." We're going to stamp this on a piece of white cardstock with our same black ink. And I'm going to die cut out our shadow or our outline with a piece of vellum. And I'm going to die cut out our Christmas. I'm going to die cut this out 3 times and I'll stack them together. I'm using the new black cardstock. This is the My Colors cardstock and it's called New Black. And I'm going to be using the sentiment strips to die cut this out. Everything is die cut out and layered. I went ahead and layered my Christmas on my vellum. And again, I stacked 3 of my black Christmases together, just gluing them down to give me a little bit of dimension. I have my first part of my Christmas that says, "Have a Wonderful." And while I was die cutting, my plates shifted somehow and it messed up my image. Kind of chopped off my little elf girl's leg. So what I did was recolored it in and I die cut it out, and this one is a lot better. You can see the difference. Over here she's chopped off. But I stamped the wrong sentiment that I wanted. My very first image I stamped, "Have your elf a merry little Christmas." And then with this one I stamped, "You're a friend like no one elf." So we're going to go with "You're a friend like no one elf." I think that's just adorable. So we are going to push this to the side and let's create a tri-fold card. To do this, I'm bringing in a window die set. This is the set with stamps windows, etched metal dies. There's several windows in here, and then there's a little window box, which is just adorable. And I'm going to be using this one and this one for my card today. To create my tri-fold card, it's very simple. What we're going to do is take 2 card bases. These are 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, so it's a full sheet cut in half and then scored down the middle here. I'm going to fold one side over like so, and they're side folding cards. And then with this one, I'm going to fold at the score line and I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. Okay, I'm going to open it back up and I'm going to line this up and trim at 4.5 inches. So this is going to leave me 1/4 of an inch at the score line. You can see here. And then I'm going to flip it around so my score line's over here. And I'm just going to take a little bit off, maybe 1/16 of an inch off, a very thin strip. This way I can actually, it's not going to affect my folding when I fold it over. So I have 2 pieces here. I'm going to set this one off to the side, and again this one has our 1/4 inch fold, and we're going to work on our main card base. With this piece of cardstock, this is the one we trimmed off from this piece over here, I'm going to trim this down, put this back in my paper trimmer. I'm going to trim it down to 3 3/4 inches. Basically I'm just taking 1/4 inch off because I want the sides of my card to peeking out when I have my window on here. Now I'm lightly going to tack this down to the front of my card base where I want it. Let me show you. Let me just fold it in half here. Like so. So I have 1/4 inch showing over here, 1/4 inch showing over here, and it's lightly tacked down. Okay, now I'm doing this because I'm going to create a window in here, and this is where our window dies come in. And I'm going to die cut both of these at the same time. I'm making sure it's centered, and then I'm going to use my tape. Once I'm happy with the placement, since I only want the front of my card to go through the die cutting machine, we're cutting 2 pieces of cardstock. Some areas might not cut, but I'm not too worried about that. But I'm going to run this through my die cut machine just like this. So I ran it through my die cut machine, and the window panes pop out. If you were just to do 1 piece of cardstock, and my card bases, I would say, are about 80-pound weight. So anything thicker than an 80-pound weight would probably not work. But since this is a trifold, I think we can get away with 80-pound cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and punch out all my window panes. And 2 pieces mean I have 2 layers. So we're going to go ahead and glue these layers together. I'm just going to use my tape runner. So, and this one too. So this is what the window looks like on the window pane, and then this is our extra piece, and I'm going to go ahead and glue these together too. Now you'll notice I have 2 pieces of acetate that are slightly smaller than this panel that'll fit right behind here. What we're going to do next is we're going to flip over this panel. I'm going to add some adhesive behind here. I'm going to add a piece of acetate on the back side. Now we're not making a shaker. Well, we're kind of making a shaker, a little bit. We're going to make a flat shaker. Then I have a same size piece of acetate that we're going to sandwich right on top. But before we do that, I have some stars. These are small, flat, little stars. And I don't want too many because I don't want my scene to be obstructed. I just want to add a little sparkle to my project. So I'm just adding a few of these little star sequins. And then I'm going to take the same size piece of acetate. I'm going to add adhesive around here, right on top of the acetate. If you want to use glue to do this, you can, but glue will sometimes get messy. And then I'm going to sandwich the sequins together. So they're probably not going to move too much, but that's okay. I just wanted that look. You see how they're not moving? You'll see my method in just a minute. Now, one more thing we're going to need to do is take our window panes, flip them around, add some adhesive behind it, and we're going to put these inside, right on top of that acetate. So it looks like we have a little window here. We'll do the same thing with our arched window. And then we'll inlay this, keeping everything white for our scene. Like so. Kind of looks like a dollhouse window. I love that. Okay, now we have our card base and we have this window. What we're going to do next is to take, I have a piece of the red diagonal stripe paper from the Say It With Stamps Brights 6x6 paper pad. I'm going to trim down at 5.5 inches a couple strips, a little bit less than half of an inch. They don't have to match in size because they're going to go on opposite ends of our card base. But this strip, we also want a 1-inch strip of our stripe paper. Okay. We're going to take one of our diagonal stripes, flip it around. We're going to add adhesive, and we're going to tack this down all the way to the right of our card base. And I'm going to do the same with our next strip. We're going to tack this down, but this time we're going to go all the way to the left. I'm going to go ahead and take my panel, and I'm not going to add, I'm not going to pop it up with foam tape. I'm just going to use my tape runner. I'm going to go over that acetate, and we're going to tack this down right in the middle, lining up that inside window. And then that is the front of our card with our little peekaboo window. Now we're going to take our 1/4 inch piece that we trimmed off. Where the score line is, you're going to open it up. And then on that score line, just before the score line, we're going to add some adhesive. And then we're going to tack this down at the score line right along the edge of our card base here. And the reason we trimmed it is because you see the score line here. This cardstock just goes just in. This way it'll fold perfectly closed. Okay, so we have a tri-fold card that you can write your message in here. Actually, you can make a pretty long message. Now what we're going to do is take all of our images and our elements. And I'm also going to bring in some of the My Colors yellow cardstock. I'm going to trim this down. This is the card front panel, and I'm going to trim this down to 3 3/4 inches wide by 5 inches tall. And then I'm going to take this stripe paper, and we're going to add this right to the very bottom of this panel. I already put adhesive behind it. We just need to trim away the excess. I wanted to create a scene on the inside of the card along with the outside. So we're going to take our panel, put some tape behind it, tack this down right in the middle, take this little image, flip it around, no foam adhesive, just using tape. We're going to position this so you can see that little tree and the elf from the inside of the window. And then I'm going to take this little elf. This little elf's going to go on the outside, but I do want to pop this up with some foam squares. We'll place this little elf on the side of our window. So we have one on the inside and one on the out. And then we have our Christmas. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to put adhesive in the middle of both of my windows, and then we're going to add our Christmas right in the center of our panel. And then we have our Have a Wonderful. I put foam adhesive behind this, and we are going to add this just above our Christmas. I think that's a good home for it. I want to add a few sequins to the outside of my project, so just using my glue, let's add a few sequins here. Now, to keep the inside looking nice and clean, I went ahead and die cut out 2 more windows with white cardstock, and just using my tape runner, we're going to adhere these just like we did the very front of the windows on the inside. This will cover up any adhesive that's showing, but it makes it look really nice and pretty. And then that will finish off my card today. Super fun, super pretty and cute, and lots of room for a big message. You could even put a gift card here if you wanted to, just tack it down with a glue dot. But I thank you so much for joining me. Today we used the super cute Santa's Helper stamp set. I hope you enjoyed my project, and I wish you a fabulous day, and we will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.